Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Cindy Lobb. I'm Square's GM for Commerce Platform, and I'm excited to host this panel today. We've got a great panel to talk about how developers are using Square's platform to build omnichannel solutions. Let's get right into it. Let's start out by introducing our panel. We've got Tim Griffin, who's the Chief Product Officer at Odeco. Tim, you want to say a few words about yourself and what your company does?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me here. My name is Tim, product officer at Odeco. We build software for independent coffee shops, starting with supply ordering software for the baristas and the managers, as well as mobile ordering software for consumers to order ahead from independent coffee shops.
Awesome. That's great. And next up, we've got Albert Brown, the CEO at Q.
Hey, great to be here. Thanks for having me. Q is an all-in-one platform for enabling online ordering. We're trying to build the most flexible platform for enabling merchant creativity. We have mobile apps, kiosks, and of course our main web app. And we're also starting to look into things like chatbots and even an Alexa bot.
And finally, we've got Roland Sayer, the CEO at Seed.
Hi, thank you. Thrilled to be here. In Seed, we do what we call full e-commerce, mostly known as Omnichannel e-commerce or commerce. We specialize in developing online stores and enabling integrations or multiple integrations between them and the POSs or inventory connections, subscriptions, and everything else.
Awesome. Great. Well, I think across the three of you, we're going to have a really great conversation today. So let's kick it off and talk about the early days of the pandemic, what I like to refer to as the panic period of the pandemic, when none of us really knew what was going on. You know, our poor sellers, all the small business owners out there were really struggling, trying to figure out how to pivot, how to make things work. And I'm sure, even though all of you were well positioned to serve their needs digitally before the pandemic started, I'm really curious about where did you see new opportunities and where did you make changes to address that need during that early days of the pandemic? And now it's crazy to think we're almost a year later. Of those changes that you made from those early days, how many of those do you see sticking around and really being part of your long-term strategy for how you serve your businesses? Tim, you want to kick us off?
Certainly. Yeah, there's a date I won't forget, March 16th of 2020. We had actually just launched a big update to our mobile app when we woke up to an onslaught of new coffee shops having signed up for the platform, just all of a sudden. So the timing was interesting. And we had planned at that point to build in the next couple of weeks, a curbside pickup option, which was expedited to say the least. We dropped everything as soon as that release went out, and we were able to ship it within that week, which was a huge win for the shops that we had already supported, as well as the new shops. It gave them an opportunity to stay open. And Square was an excellent partner during that as well, just that they were able to roll out the curbside pickup API to third-party developers like Odeco. So definitely a challenging period, but we were able to sort of weather that storm and move forward. I'd say in terms of some of the aspects of the pandemic that are likely to stick around, I think in general, this is likely to be a catalyst for mobile payment in the US. There seems to be a catalyst moment in most countries that utilize more mobile-friendly digital payments, and this seems to be it for the U.S. That'll stick around in some capacity, whether it's in person using near frequency scanning or mobile order ahead. That's my general hunch.
Right. I personally am hoping that curbside sticks around after the pandemic. It's very convenient. I've really enjoyed it myself. So how about you, Roland or Albert? Anything to add?
So, just like Tim said, curbside was the first to go, and we built that very quickly. and at the same time had to basically go through Square's whole QA process to become part of the app marketplace, and just basically upgrade our whole platform to kind of meet the level of quality that Square expects of the partner apps, which was a really good process. It improved our app quite a lot. And then basically every new wave, every shift in COVID has brought about new features for us. So when outdoor patio dining started to reopen, we launched Tableside with QR codes. When the bars and breweries were allowed to be open and start serving again, that's when we built our Open Tabs feature. Let's see, I guess merchants started to look for a lot more ways to kind of get customer loyalty and basically keep the customers that they already had, but also bring in new people to kind of expand their customer base. So we started to, roll out these custom mobile apps and integrate with Square loyalty and that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of themes in both of your answers where, and I think this has happened for a lot of different companies where the pandemic really became this catalyst for innovation and, removed a lot of friction and really made people think that what maybe they wouldn't thought would be possible in the past is now absolutely possible. And how do we keep building on that? How about you, Roland? What's your pandemic panic period story?
I'm not good with dates, but I remember that call with Said where he tells me like, "Hey, do you want to help building online stores? It's gonna be like 5 per month." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, whatever. We do that every day." And and Square Online is simple, so we can, A week later, we were getting 5 per day and delivering 5 per day. So it was a good thing, and it was really funny that we decided to train everybody on the first call. It was like a training call, and I said, everybody, hey, everybody come, infrastructure, I don't care. And the other thing that was like dramatic for us was the impact that effort had with the businesses, especially the small businesses. We got, we cried with them, we laughed with them, we panicked with them when the guy that was not selling any pizzas is starting to get 200 pizzas per hour in orders, and the poor guy started panicking because at the moment there was no limit on the orders on Square Online. So so he got I think he got 200 pizzas in less than 15 minutes. So he was like, he called us panicking, like, turn it off, please. So all those things are the things that I remember most about it. And the things that we're doing now to prevent that and to enable more and more efficient e-commerce for all of them is integration. We are all about integrating the Square platform with other platforms. So no matter where you are, you're going to have all those amazing features that Square already has.
Awesome. That is such a good story. And I do think that, sharing of the journey, the empathy that you just showed for, the pizza baker, that is core to who we are at Square, understanding the seller journey and the pain points and really serving the jobs that they need serving, and leaning on all of you as developers to help us do that is core to our mission here at Square. And that kind of frames up my next question, which is how did Tim and Albert in particular, how did you even discover Square's platform? How did you know what we did? What product or APIs did you first engage with? And really, how has your relationship with our platform grown? And what's going well for you? What are the APIs that you think are really helping you build those differentiated solutions?
We've actually been partners with Square since the very beginning. It was something that I had sought out very specifically, just given that we were looking to support an audience that Square started with, for the most part, around independent coffee shops and cafes, right? And if you walk into most coffee shops, there is a Square terminal there. And we've always believed that we want to meet our customers where they are without providing more hardware on their countertops, which is already limited. So from day one, we had worked with Square. We were fortunate to be included as the alpha, the first customer to test the in-app mobile payments SDK several years ago, which was a low risk for both parties and a high reward for both parties. We were a young startup and had an opportunity to start that process for an integration with our customers and make it easier for them to accept mobile orders without having to really jump through any hoops with extra software. So that was a big piece for us, and it has just evolved from there. Square has patiently worked with us as we've sort of evolved to the point where we are today. It actually happened sort of culminating right at the start of COVID. Actually, we hadn't been able to get into the orders API just simply because as that alpha customer, it didn't quite connect perfectly into the ecosystem just yet to be able to process payment without double charging our customers. And the team had spun up an external payments group within Square, and we were able to be a part of that test as well, which did allow us to finally achieve the orders integration, which has really helped to streamline the entire operations.
Yeah, so I should full disclosure admit that the orders team is part of Commerce Platform. So I know that API well. So super exciting to see you being able to leverage that. And then how about you, Albert? You want to talk a little bit about what APIs you use and how it's going?
Yeah, we've been able to utilize tons of the APIs. I mean, I could probably list off the ones that we're not using, and that would be a shorter list. But we're using, payments, orders, Reader SDK for our kiosk in-person payments. We just added in-app payment SDK, as Tim was mentioning. We have items in inventory where we, pull everything over so that merchants don't have to build their own store. It all just kind of auto generates. And then, I would say some of the most powerful ones, there are a bunch more, but I'd say I would agree that the Orders API has been one of the most powerful ones, specifically as it relates to streamlining customer communication. So just being able to have these order status updates updated through the point of sale or wherever, where we can just say to a seller, you don't have to change anything about your existing process. You can keep your Square hardware, use everything as you normally would, and then they can go in and customize everything about that ordering flow. They can change all the, create custom SMS messages that with dynamic content and stuff.
No, that's great being able to provide an opportunity for them to adopt something new, especially features that bring them closer to their customers, but still keep their back-end operations largely the same. Is a huge differentiator, I think, for what you've been able to do for the sellers. So thank you for that. And now let's switch gears a little bit. And I want to talk to you for a little bit, Roland. My understanding is you had to ramp up on our Square Online offerings relatively quickly to be able to serve the variety of sellers that were coming to you to help with that digital transformation. Can you talk a little bit about how did you ramp up on Square Online and what worked and what resources did you lean on and how did it translate over to the sellers that you were serving?
Yes, Square Online has been an amazing experience because we saw it grow. The partnership with Square and the partnership team and everybody that we have worked with has been beyond amazing. And again, it was a super rewarding experience because we can do things really quick, basically. And Square Online provided that agility that we needed to assess all that and get them online as fast as possible with a system that they already know and they trust. And even if they were brand new customers, the platform is so intuitive that they will get on top of it really, really quick. And the implementation team is also really, really good, so it will help them all over. We did some kind of weird things, like everybody has my cell phone now, and call me anytime. I don't care. But it's part of our core business. But it was dramatic to see all that change happening so quick. Where if where we're using another online platform, it won't be possible because of the there's so many things to connect and to learn and to establish and to Square is really the only platform that has that whole or full e-commerce functionality that we truly need in the e-commerce environment.
That's such a good story. Thank you for sharing it, and a lot of shared themes in there across all of your answers. The one thing that really shined through is the power of the Square ecosystem and the fact that we have this core platform strategy with things like items and inventory that are defined in one place and then replicated throughout the Square ecosystem. So, pulling on the threads a little bit more, I think, Roland, you mentioned, everyone has your cell phone and, people are reaching out to you directly. I think we have a lot of that same spirit at Square where not only are we providing technology, but we tend to try to connect very deeply through connections as people. I'm curious if there's any stories that you can share about your experiences engaging with the Square team and, any kind of, assistance that they gave or, insights or just a fun story that you want to share about, your experiences with the Square team.
I can jump in here. I mean, first of all, so just wanted to quickly shout out to our partner manager Aditi, who just is totally above and beyond. But then also just really all aspects of every sort of part of the Square ecosystem that we've been able to touch. From the engineering teams who've been really awesome about giving us access to alphas and betas, just so we can build the features that we're dreaming up. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but they always come through to find, this is how you're going to build this. They've been our technical advisors. They've been in the trenches with us. We're sharing Postman network requests back and forth. It really does feel like a lot of teamwork that goes into that. Especially, also at the beginning of COVID, the Square response to that was just immediate. They kind of saw our curbside solution. They put us in this really crazy, grueling QA process that they normally do over the course of a couple of months. And they're like, okay, this is important. We're going to do this in 5 days. So, we just didn't sleep that week. It was kind of, finals period. Or something, but we got it done, and Square's team was just totally there with us every step of the way.
So moving on a little bit about, we've talked about the pandemic and how we met those challenges, and now we're kind of entering a new phase. I haven't nicknamed this phase yet, but maybe it's like the hope phase or the reclaiming normal phase is probably a closer description. So as we're entering this new phase where now sellers are looking forward with more hope, they've, survived a lot of the challenges of the past year. What are some of the trends that you're seeing? What are you excited about what could be coming next, and what you're hearing from sellers in terms of what they need from you? And this is really open to any of you that would like to share.
I can jump in here. A good example of that, and the team's already working through it with us, has been with more orders funneling in through other channels, whether it's Square's own online ordering or a partner like Odeco. There are opportunities to continue to eliminate friction. So for instance, currently all of the Odeco mobile orders appear as uncategorized in the Square sales report, right? Which is totally acceptable during the middle of the pandemic. But now that they have to engage with accountants again, the accountants are calling to provide a bit more flexibility just around custom menu items. That's what it ultimately comes down to. I've joked with a couple of folks at Square, very few Square sellers, at least that own coffee shops, build their Square menus to be customer facing. They have fun nicknames for their drinks, or they might have quick buttons, and the challenge becomes how do you present that to the end consumer in a way that's at least recognizable, which of course makes it difficult for Obdeco, for Square to be able to consolidate into reporting. So teams still already starting to engage with that conversation. It's a good opportunity to just continue to eliminate those friction points, right? And to make it as streamlined as possible for the sellers at the end of the day.
Yeah, I love that. So we have a concept internally at Square. You probably have heard us talking about it if you spend as much time as you say you do with our team, but we strive to have remarkable launches. And so what does that mean? There's some subjectivity to it, and I think you're hinting at that with certain things that were acceptable during the pandemic. Might start to be not so acceptable anymore because they're not remarkable anymore. Just the ability to take an order during the pandemic was remarkable, but now the bar is moving because we're moving into this new phase. So I'm happy to share that a lot of the pain points you're describing I've seen on 2021 roadmaps. So there should be improvements coming both from within the platform for you to be able to extend those changes out and better serve. So I'm excited about that. How about you, Albert or Roland, anything to share?
We don't want to go back. Yes, we have seen so many improvements and so reduction of friction in general, like Tim said, that we don't want that friction to be back into the process. We don't want a customer that doesn't know that they can order online or they can get curbside pickup. We want that to be the new normal, and we want that completely controlled environment from one or two platforms to be organized and synchronized and orchestrated in a perfect way. And what we learned from the new normal is that we can do that really, really fast. So that's what we're looking to achieve now. We want to move customers as fast as we did before into more complex environments, into more complex setups where they can have more automation and serve more customers and really empower that whole small businesses into a real solid automation or full automated store. It doesn't matter if they're big or small. We think it's the same process. It's just a matter of picking the right path for each one of them.
Yeah, I love the spirit of that, and I think you're hitting on a really important transition that happened recently, which is you helped so many small businesses that had never been online before get online, and that first transition was hard and scary, but now that they're online and they're seeing it work, their appetite is really increasing and they're looking for more and more. So the undercurrent of all of those answers though was this continued the not going away version of how we live, which is much more omni-channel than it has in the past. And so I think omni-channel tends to be a little bit of a buzzword where you can interpret it in a few different ways. So I'm really curious how each of you interpret omni-channel within your business and what does it mean to you? Why don't we kick off with Roland again, and then we'll rotate around.
Omnichannel is something that we were doing for a while, and we just realized that that's the name it has. Yeah, it was like, what's Omnichannel? Oh, everything integrated. Oh, but that's what we do. Yeah. So for us, the Square platform has brought in the piece of the puzzle that we always had. We didn't have. We need the best e-commerce we can possibly get with the less amount of pieces. Before it was a lot of, you have your POS on one side, you have your inventory on the other side, which is usually a nightmare. Then you have your e-commerce solution, then you have a connector, and maybe you even have a translator from the POS to that connector to the inventory because they don't talk to each other. So with the APIs and thanks to the Square partner team, we are being able to start integrating more and more platforms to have that huge impact with a small amount of um, parts pieces, because that's the right way. I mean, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to pay for 22 memberships like we have a customer that does that, because it pays for the inventory, for the POS, for everything. With a Square, we have seen that we can even if it's an enterprise level e-commerce solution, we just connect Square and then that's it. That, you're done. Bye.
That's great. How about you, Tim?
Yeah, I think in terms of how I view the term or the buzzword omnichannel, I view it more in the context of opportunity for these independent merchants, through whatever channel it is that they can build their business or in the near term survive, has been the primary goal. And I think that if anything, the pandemic brought out just the ingenuity of a lot of these small business owners and perhaps put a spotlight on it in a great way. One great example of that would be just finding new ways to sell products that customers want in a way that made them comfortable. And a good example of that, at least in Charlotte and across the country even, has been partnerships between independent cafes and dairy farmers to create and sell, a lot of times via Square online stores, prepackaged lattes with the coffee shop's branding and the local dairy farm's dairy. It's a unique way to drum up a bunch of excitement and have a sort of a limited quantity release. It's not quite as exciting as streetwear brand launches maybe, but we saw it as an immensely successful test for a lot of these shops, and they continue to do it on a regular cadence, and it brings that local brand into your home where it otherwise might not exist. So that's typically the lens that I put on any sort of buzzword around omnichannel, is just another opportunity to create a sales channel or connection between the seller and the customer.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the creativity of the partnership. Now I actually want to go seek out a coffee shop that's doing that partnership because I'm insanely curious about it. So thanks for bringing that up. And then how about you, Albert?
Yeah, so for me, omnichannel, buzzword aside, has always been kind of meeting a customer wherever they like to be, wherever they choose to live. And as customers ourselves, we're all customers too. We have certain places where we feel most comfortable, whether it's our email or Facebook or in person or talking to someone or on our mobile browser, whatever it is, or downloading an app. So I think that the merchant, sellers can get so much further. They can increase their number of orders so much by simply removing that friction and simply meeting the customer where they choose to be. I think that the next phase of this is, can you provide a really incredible, remarkable, fun experience for a customer? And then, I've had bars and clubs who are talking about, we really want to integrate with all of these social sharing options. Beer Buddy or whatever it is like one of the top social networking apps in the App Store right now. So I think that the next phase of this really is, can we, now we've got online ordering down. Next step is, can we make it really fun? And can we make that an awesome experience? That's once, assuming we get the frictionless part down, that's sort of what's next.
Yeah, I love that. And everything in what you were saying really resonated. So again, all of you, this was a great conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your stories. Thank you for being in the trenches with our sellers and helping them through what was a very challenging year, and also continuing to help shepherd them into a much brighter future as we start to see, a life after the pandemic in the coming months. I'm really excited to see all of your solutions continuing to grow and better serve with Square. Thank you for being our partners, and thank you to everyone that watched this for spending the time with us today. Thanks.